We find ourselves really at a critical juncture in global healthcare. And this is especially true for senior professionals, for those of you tasked with long-term infrastructure planning and strategic management.
Hmm.
For decades, the implicit model has been the best care, whatever the cost. And that often means high-tech, highly resource-intensive operations.
It does. But the world is fundamentally shifting, and so medicine has to shift with it.
So we need to move from that historically resource-guzzling approach to one that is genuinely sustainable
Right.
and resilient.
Well, this discussion has moved far beyond any kind of, you know, political idealism or moral posturing. It's now a core strategic necessity.
Right.
That tension you highlight between delivering complex, cutting-edge care and fulfilling our broader responsibilities to the environment, to society, that's what's defining the next era of hospital management. To move forward, we have to fundamentally redefine the scope of our core mission.
And that mission has always been anchored in that fundamental principle, primum non nocere.
First, do no harm. Exactly.
Ah.
And if we're genuinely committed to that ancient oath, then the contemporary definition of harm simply has to evolve.
It has to mean more than just the patient in the bed.
It must. It has to expand beyond the immediate care of that individual to encompass the environment that sustains all of us and the societal structures that, host our facilities.
So, to get a handle on this, we need a framework.
We do. When you approach sustainability in healthcare, you need a rigorous analytical tool. For this deep dive, we're going to employ the triple bottom line framework.
Okay.
That's planet, patient or people, and profit. And the key is that these three pillars must function as an integrated system, not as competing priorities.
I think the most common reflexive objection we hear, certainly from CFOs or operational directors when you introduce this topic, is that immediate assumption that environmental goals,
The planet pillar.
exactly the planet pillar,
Yeah.
that it must automatically conflict with cost savings and profitability. It's seen as a trade-off.
Go green, accept a reduced margin.
Precisely.
And that assumption is the most crucial misconception we have to address right at the start.
Because the evidence doesn't support it.
The financial and operational evidence simply does not support that trade-off. In fact, what we find is that intelligently structured sustainable practice often drives long-term financial viability and resilience.
Can you give us a sense of the scale here?
Well, consider an analysis done on the U.S. healthcare system. It estimated that simple, sector-wide measures in energy, waste, and efficiency could potentially save the industry over $15 billion
Over $15 billion.
over a single decade. We're not talking about marginal savings here. We're talking about figures that fundamentally alter balance sheets and, crucially, investment capacity.
Okay, so let's establish the challenge. Our mission today is to demonstrate, using deep analysis and real-world case studies from leading global medical centers, exactly how that investment in the planet pillar actively enhances the patient experience and, ultimately, drives long-term profit. We are looking at sustainability not as some bureaucratic compliance burden, but as the inevitable new foundation of world-class quality management.
That's the core of it, yes.
To begin, we have to look at the physical heart of the operation, the hospital building itself.
Right.
Now, for anyone listening who is involved in capital expenditure or facilities management, you'll know this all too well. Hospitals are, well, they're some of the most resource-intensive buildings on the planet, aren't they?
They absolutely are. It's that perpetual 24/7 nature of the operation that drives that staggering resource demand.
There's no shutting down overnight.
Not at all. Unlike a commercial building that can scale down its systems, a hospital's baseline energy demand for life support, critical cooling, air filtration, redundant power, that remains persistently high.
So tackling this immense physical footprint is really the indispensable first step.
It has to be.
So if we're building new, what foundation are leading institutions relying on? How do they ensure they're building better, not just bigger?
The standard approach now, really, involves heavy reliance on formal green building standards. The most notable one is LEED. That's Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design.
And the goal there isn't just about ticking a box for compliance, I take it?
Not at all. The goal is a fundamental re-engineering of the structure and its systems. The data shows that LEED-certified hospitals are typically designed to use between 30 and 60% less energy
30 to 60%.
and significantly less water compared to conventional facilities of the same size and operational complexity.
That's an enormous operational swing. How are those gains actually realized?
Well, it's through quite sophisticated insulation strategies, geothermal heating and cooling systems, and highly optimized sensor-driven lighting and HVAC infrastructure.
Now, for a CFO who's considering that initial capital outlay of a new build, what specific examples show that the investment in certification pays off, not just financially, but clinically?
A really powerful example comes from the University Health's Women's and Children's Hospital in the U.S. It achieved LED Gold certification. And while the immediate financial outcome was, as you'd expect, substantial and quantifiable electricity savings, the clinical benefits are fascinating.
In what way?
The high-efficiency air filtration and ventilation systems, which are mandated by the certification, led to measurably improved indoor air quality.
Which, for that specific patient group, must be critical.
Hugely. For a vulnerable population, new mothers and infants, this reduction in indoor pollutants, the enhanced air change rates, it all translates directly into a safer, better clinical recovery environment.
So the investment in the planet pillar, the building design, immediately returns value to the patient pillar.
Exactly, the improved clinical environment.
That link between the physical environment and the clinical outcome is where the strategic thinking really deepens, doesn't it? Particularly when we start talking about biophilic design.
Yes.
For facilities teams, I imagine this can sometimes sound like an expensive architectural flourish, but the evidence suggests it's much more than just aesthetics.
It absolutely is. Biophilic design is the purposeful integration of natural elements. So, optimized daylight, natural materials, fresh air access, views of nature, all integrated into the built environment.
And it creates a proven physiological link to recovery.
A direct, proven link. We have to view it as a clinical approach, not just an aesthetic one.
And the roots of this concept go back quite a way, don't they? It's not just a modern trend.
Decades, yes. We often reference the foundational work of Roger Ulrich back in 1984. He studied surgical patients.
I know this study. It's fascinating.
It is. He found that patients recovering from similar procedures who had a view of trees from their window, well, they recovered faster.
And had fewer complications.
Fewer post-operative complications and, critically, required less potent pain medication than those whose view was a plain brick wall.
That finding alone is just immensely strategic.
It really is. By maximizing natural light and views, a hospital reduces its reliance on artificial lighting.
Right.
But it also potentially reduces the need for extensive post-operative pharmacological interventions.
So you get a double bottom line return.
Precisely. It shifts recovery from a purely passive medical process to one that's actively supported by the environment itself.
So the foundation is laid through smart biophilic design. But the reality is that the majority of healthcare worldwide is delivered within existing, often decades-old buildings.
That's right.
So the immediate tactical challenge becomes operational efficiency and decarbonization for these existing facilities. How do senior managers even begin to approach greening what is already standing?
This is where we have to strategically frame environmental sustainability, not as a one-off capital spend, but as a dynamic, ongoing process.
Like clinical management.
Exactly like clinical management. We call it continuous quality improvement, or CQI, but applied to energy.
Explain that.
Well, in a clinical setting, you establish a baseline, you implement an intervention, and you rigorously track the outcomes. For energy, you do the same. You establish your baseline energy use intensity, your EUI. You implement targeted, measurable interventions, like retrofitting lighting or cooling systems, and then you track the results against industry benchmarks. Decarbonization is simply CQI for the physical plant.
That reframing is essential. It integrates sustainability directly into the management lexicon of quality and risk. What's fascinating is seeing the varied strategic approaches that global leaders are taking, depending on their market and their scale.
Absolutely. Take the strategy deployed by Narayana Health in India. They are renowned for their high-volume, affordable delivery of complex cardiac care.
So for them, cost is everything.
It is. And their drive for aggressive renewable energy integration was dictated not just by environmental goals, but by hard cost necessity. Their flagship Health City campus in Bangalore, which is designed to serve a vast population, generates approximately 80% of its total electricity needs from dedicated solar power.
80%. That's generating 4/5 of their own power. That is a massive undertaking.
It is.
Beyond the obvious environmental benefit, how on earth did that huge upfront capital investment pass the scrutiny of their finance team? What was the resulting profit outcome?
The analysis was driven by long-term cost avoidance. That level of energy independence acts as a powerful hedge against utility market volatility, which is a significant risk in high-growth economies.
And the numbers?
The quantifiable data is compelling. That solar integration saves the hospital group an estimated annual total of around 35 to 40 million rupees,
Which in pounds sterling or dollars is?
roughly 450,000 to 500,000 US dollars per year.
$500,000 a year.
And crucially, that $500,000 in annual savings is directly cycled back into the system. It's what enables their low-cost, high-volume model of care. It provides a clear, highly visible return on that environmental infrastructure investment that justifies the whole strategic decision.
Okay, so let's contrast that with the Apollo Hospitals network, also in India. They focused on network-wide process efficiency across a distributed portfolio rather than one massive solar farm.
That's right. Apollo, operating as India's largest private network across a wide geographical spread, they adopted a different leverage strategy. Broad, deep process optimization.
And they did it through a partnership model.
Yes, an innovative pay-as-you-save partnership with an energy service company. This model is crucial for CFOs to understand because it de-risks the capital expenditure. The energy firm funds the installation costs and is then repaid through share of the proven savings.
So Apollo didn't have to find all that CapEx up front.
Exactly. And through this partnership, they deployed 235 distinct, quite granular energy conservation measures across 18 of their hospitals.
What sort of measures are we talking about?
Oh, everything from optimized cooling tower management to the implementation of very sophisticated smart automation systems.
Implementing 235 distinct measures across 18 different sites implies a massive effort in standardization and compliance.
A huge effort. But the sheer scale delivers extraordinary forecast savings. This decade-long initiative is projected to save over 235 million kilowatt-hours of electricity.
And from a governance perspective.
More importantly, from a global governance perspective, it's expected to eliminate an estimated 290,000 tons of carbon emissions by 2030. It's a showcase of how massive, standardized process efficiency, managed through innovative financial partnerships, can deliver profound environmental and financial benefits across an entire network.
Let's address the reality for older, high-tech facilities in hyper-competitive markets, places that can't afford a full network overhaul but still need rapid, measurable gain. Retrofitting an existing, fully operational hospital can feel, well, almost impossible.
You can feel that way, but the American Hospital Dubai offers an excellent proof of concept for effective retrofitting.
Operating in a high-cost energy
A
environment.
very high-demand, high-cost environment. They focus intensely on upgrading existing infrastructure to improve their energy use intensity, that EUI benchmark we discussed. By targeting the systems with the greatest waste, they achieved a nearly 28% reduction in their overall EUI in just 2 years.
Between 2020 and 2022, that's nearly a one-third reduction in energy intensity in a very short operational window.
It represents rapid operational leverage. That 28% saving is equivalent to over 20 million kilowatt-hours saved.
So what we have are three very diverse case studies.
Narayana's renewable energy independence, Apollo's widespread risk-sharing process optimization, and American Hospital Dubai's aggressive targeted retrofitting.
And they all confirm the same strategic point.
They do. Substantial financial and environmental gains are immediately available, regardless of a facility's age or location, when sustainability is managed as a priority quality metric.
Right. If we shift focus from energy, the other massive resource drain in hospitals is water and waste.
Absolutely.
You mentioned the high water intensity of hospital operations. Why is proactive water management such a critical strategic challenge?
Water is a completely non-negotiable operational necessity. It's needed for every aspect of patient care, from complex sterilization processes to cooling towers, sanitation, and basic hygiene.
So, just like energy, inefficient consumption represents a substantial recurring operational expense.
A huge expense. Let's go back to American Hospital Dubai. The response involved implementing simple yet high-impact technological upgrades,
Ah, Chaz.
switching all public and staff faucets to touchless sensor models and installing dual-flush restrooms.
These changes sound quite minor in isolation.
They do, but they save an estimated 2,176 gallons of water daily across the facility. Now, if you scale that across a large network, those savings become transformative.
That covers efficiency. What about the transition towards circular economy practices? Moving away from that linear take, make, dispose model must be much harder in a clinical environment driven by sterile, single-use items.
The challenge is very real, but leading institutions are finding ways to close the loop. A core element of the circular economy is adopting recycling and reuse systems, particularly for non-clinical or low-risk water.
You mean things like gray water systems?
Exactly. For instance, the Akabedem Healthcare Group in Turkey has invested in installing comprehensive gray water recycling systems. They treat wastewater from sinks and showers to safely reuse it for sanitation and for landscape irrigation.
And there are other examples?
Oh, yes. Prince Court Medical Center in Malaysia utilizes a rainwater harvesting system, diverting all that natural input for their extensive landscaping needs. These aren't just one-off environmental projects. They reflect a strategic view of securing and allocating limited resources.
That strategic view suggests this effort has migrated from the facilities manager's office straight into the executive boardroom.
It absolutely has. The most advanced systems are institutionalizing these efforts through formal governance structures. Consider Burmangrad International Hospital in Thailand.
Okay.
They haven't just implemented projects. They've established an explicit, formal, and comprehensive environmental policy. It dictates the stringent management of energy, water, and waste across the entire organization.
So sustainability is no longer just a series of discrete projects.
It's evolved. It's now a core, integrated component of the hospital's corporate strategy, its risk management, and its long-term viability planning. Senior management recognizes that environmental impact is now intrinsically linked to future financial performance.
So we've established the symbiotic financial and environmental benefits of the planet pillar. Now we need to connect that operational success to the people pillar, which encompasses staff well-being, the patient's holistic experience, and I think most complexly, social equity.
This is indeed the most ethically challenging section of the discussion, particularly in the context of high-end global healthcare and medical tourism.
We have to address the internal brain drain critique head-on, don't we?
We must. This is the idea that wealthy private hospitals, by concentrating exceptional medical talent and sophisticated resources to serve a mostly international or affluent patient base, inadvertently starve and weaken the local public health system.
Thereby causing social harm. It's a critique that, if it's true, undermines the entire ethical mandate of the institution. If high-end care leads to a fundamental weakening of the host community's infrastructure, then the model is socially unsustainable.
Which is why we have to look for integrated counter-narratives. We need examples that demonstrate how high-volume, global quality care can simultaneously bolster the local community.
And this brings us back to Narayana Health.
Yes, the Narayana Health integrated model, which we touched upon earlier, is arguably the world's most compelling case study for achieving a unified, socially responsible system. It operates seamlessly as what we term lean, green, and social.
Okay, let's drill down into the interdependence of that structure. What are the lean operations that underpin their ability to deliver something as complex as cardiac surgery at a drastically reduced cost?
The entire organizational DNA is founded on a frugal innovation model.
Frugal innovation.
It involves extreme standardization and high-volume throughput. They meticulously eliminate every unnecessary process variation, every unneeded material input or waste product from these complex procedures.
So by operating at scale with this hyper-efficiency?
They drive down the variable cost of procedures significantly, and they do this without ever compromising clinical quality, which is monitored with incredible rigor.
And how did that lean philosophy then necessitate and integrate the green infrastructure?
The pursuit of extreme frugality made resource efficiency completely non-optional. The 80% solar adoption at their Health City campus wasn't just an environmental gesture.
It was a cost control strategy.
It was a critical strategic cost control measure. By generating their own power, they created a predictable, low-cost utility base. It insulates the entire operation from the unpredictable volatility of rising energy market prices. The green infrastructure, therefore, became an indispensable economic enabler of the lean, low-cost operational model.
Okay. So if the lean efficiency and the green infrastructure generate substantial operational savings, the profit, how is that surplus then strategically deployed to enable the social mission, to address the patient people pillar?
The resulting operational savings directly lower the hospital's overall cost base and generate an essential surplus. And this surplus isn't just distributed as profit.
It's used structurally.
It's structurally used to enable equity. They implement sophisticated tiered pricing models that actively cross-subsidize care, ensuring lower-income individuals have access to the exact same high-quality procedures.
And it went even further than that, I believe.
It did. Crucially, they went further by pioneering low-cost, risk-sharing insurance schemes, specifically targeted at local, often neglected communities like local farmers. The efficiency of the operation creates the necessary financial capacity for equitable care provision.
That fundamentally changes the economic proposition, doesn't it? It moves the conversation away from the idea of corporate social responsibility as a kind of bolted-on afterthought
Hmm?
to one of systemic social enablement. But for a senior professional who's planning strategy outside of the Indian context, what are the caveats here? Does this model scale easily in systems with different regulatory or financing structures?
That's the necessary intellectual challenge. While the model is profound, we have to recognize that its success relies on two key factors: immense volume and a specific regulatory environment that permits that kind of private cross-subsidization.
So it's not a plug-and-play solution.
Far from it.
No.
Replication requires understanding that the efficiencies must be pursued relentlessly, and that's a task that requires extraordinary management discipline. It often means challenging established local supply chains or even physician preferences. It's a powerful example, but requires a deep, deep commitment to continuous system innovation.
Let's pivot to the high-end market, where quality is often synonymous with luxury. Is there a risk that sustainability could be perceived as signaling austerity or even a reduction in service quality in this context?
Actually, it's quite the opposite. In high-end medical tourism, green practices have evolved to reinforce the perceived quality, the clinical safety, and the modern management of the institution. It acts as a powerful signal of high quality.
We see this in the model of Prince Court Medical Center in Malaysia, which explicitly positions its services using the term five-star hospitality.
Exactly. Prince Court successfully fuses that luxury experience with demonstrable planetary responsibility. They actively market features like their rooftop solar panels and advanced rainwater harvesting systems right alongside their premium hospitality.
So what's the message for the patient?
For the discerning international patient, this combination communicates a very clear message. This facility is so meticulously managed, so modern, and so financially sound that it controls every aspect of its operation, from clinical protocol precision right down to basic utility resource consumption.
So in this context, green acts as a proxy for superior forward-thinking management.
And meticulous quality control, yes.
That concept leads us directly to resilience, which is often the silent pillar of sustainability. For global providers, operational resilience is the ultimate premium service, isn't it?
It's the ultimate non-negotiable assurance. When you are a major international provider, like Bormangrad International Hospital, serving a sophisticated patient base from nearly 200 countries, any significant operational disruption is catastrophic.
It's not just about the margins.
It's not just margins, it's about global brand trust. A power outage during a complex surgery or a critical water shortage doesn't just inconvenience staff, it risks the entire patient journey and fundamentally destroys that reputation of service assurance.
Therefore, by investing heavily in robust, decentralized, and energy-efficient systems, institutions like Bumrungrad are essentially purchasing operational stability.
That is the core strategic rationale. Their sustainability investments in efficient power, redundant systems, resource management, they're designed to shield care delivery from external shocks,
Shocks like local power grid instability.
or unpredictable weather patterns, or urban water shortages. This reliability and assurance of continuous service is the premium they offer. The patient is purchasing the assurance that their complex, multi-day care path will be delivered flawlessly, protected by resilient, efficient infrastructure,
So, operational resilience becomes a core competitive advantage.
and a crucial element of the high-end patient experience.
We've built the comprehensive case. Sustainable measures protect the planet and elevate the patient experience. Now, we must solidify the business case for the finance director who has to sign the check.
Right.
The question remains, what is the direct, quantifiable return on investment in hard currency?
We have to transition fully from the abstract concept of doing good to the concrete data of cost avoidance and pure financial savings. The business case for sustainability is extraordinarily robust, beginning with those direct utility savings we reviewed.
So revisit those energy savings for us, specifically in the context of justifying high capex projects.
The data really does speak for itself. Nariana's annual power savings, upwards of $450,000, provide a stark, measurable ROI for investing in renewable infrastructure.
And the others.
American Hospital Dubai's aggressive green retrofits yielded savings equivalent to over 20 million kilowatt-hours in just 2 years. And then, most impressively in terms of future cost avoidance, Apollo's forecast target of 235 million kilowatt hours saved. Well, that translates to approximately $24 million in projected cost avoidance over the decade-long contract period.
These are not projected soft figures then.
Not at all. These are multi-million-dollar impacts that directly bolster operating margins.
Beyond massive utility bills, which are substantial, waste management represents another massive and often hidden operational expense that these strategies can dramatically reduce.
Waste disposal is a critical, persistent financial leak in most hospitals. And the cost disparity is the key metric to look at here.
What do you mean?
Biohazardous red bag waste requires specialized handling, treatment, and disposal. And that makes it up to 10 times more expensive to process than regular municipal solid waste.
10 times the cost. That provides an immediate, compelling financial incentive for deep efficiency and process change.
Precisely. The implementation of rigorous segregation, recycling, and reduction programs, all core requirements of the Planet Pillar, directly slashes these operational costs.
So it's more than just putting up different bins.
Much more. Effective waste management means training staff to correctly classify waste, reprocessing instruments where it's safe and appropriate, and scrutinizing inventory management to reduce the generation of expired or contaminated stock.
And the financial impact.
If an institution can significantly reduce the volume of material they classify as highly costly biohazardous waste, they eliminate a huge recurring operational expense. It creates a direct financial flow from an environmental measure straight to core profitability.
What about the velocity of the return? Are these investments that take a decade to pay off, or is the ROI quicker than many executives might assume?
A major selling point for finance teams is the rapid payback period for many of the common green investments. Simple, non-disruptive retrofits.
Like switching to LED lighting.
Exactly. Shifting entirely to LED lighting systems, installing high-efficiency heat recovery ventilation, or upgrading water fixtures to low-flow systems. These often recoup their initial capital expenditure in a remarkably short time, frequently within 1 to 2 years.
So after that initial payback,
Once that threshold is crossed, the upgraded infrastructure generates pure, predictable operational savings for the remainder of its lifespan. This rapid, quantifiable ROI makes the internal business case for these projects nearly undeniable.
we've detailed the powerful
Historically, the undisputed global gold seal of approval for quality, especially for international patients, was accreditation from institutions like the Joint Commission International, or JCI.
That status signified validated, rigorous clinical processes.
It did. But that standard is broadening.
Are you suggesting that ESG performance, environmental, social, and governance is rapidly becoming the next level of essential quality credentialing?
It is transforming into a mandatory benchmark. ESG performance is now viewed by sophisticated patients, by international payers, and critically, by investors, as a superior proxy for overall institutional quality, modern management rigor, and long-term viability.
So it's a signal.
It signals that an institution is not just clinically excellent today, but that it's ethically governed, structurally resilient, and managed for the demands of the future.
That resonates very strongly in financial markets. Investors are actively seeking out institutions that demonstrate they are future-proofed and resilient against risk factors like climate change and resource volatility. So how are leading institutions actively leveraging this ESG status for market differentiation?
We see clear examples globally. Bumrungrad International Hospital, famed for its JCI accreditation, has actively promoted its recognition in 2024 as one of the top 100 ESG companies in Thailand.
So they're bolstering their brand with more than just clinical metrics.
They're successfully bolstering their global brand by showcasing leadership that transcends purely clinical metrics. This assures stakeholders that the institution is governed with long-term foresight.
And we saw something similar with Prince Court.
We did. Prince Court Medical Center was recognized as Medical Tourism Hospital of the Year in Malaysia. And that accolade was explicitly attributed in part to its commitment to sustainability and its patient-centric green initiatives. It's no longer enough to be clinically competent, you have to demonstrate comprehensive modern governance.
So what these synthesized case studies show is that the successful integrated implementation of all three pillars, planet, patient, profit, is what now generates this necessary new market signal of quality.
Exactly. The success is holistic, not episodic. Take the Ekobadem Group in Turkey. Their strategy demonstrates a proactive alignment with future regulatory trends.
How so?
Through explicit carbon cut goals, implementing gray water recycling, and adopting electric vehicle shuttles for internal transport. This forward-looking management shows they are not merely reacting to current environmental demands, but are actively managing the long-term systemic risks posed by climate regulation and resource scarcity.
And that's what the market rewards.
That level of strategic foresight is what capital markets and highly discerning international patients are increasingly rewarding. Sustainability is moving from a nice-to-have accessory to an absolute marker of world-class accountable management.
We have focused so far and substantially on greening the physical infrastructure and optimizing current operational processes.
Hmm.
But the truly transformative next phase of sustainability must involve fundamentally changing the tools and inputs of medicine itself, shifting away from the linear, disposable, petrochemical-based system that dominates global medical supplies.
That strategic shift is paramount. We have to transition from merely optimizing existing operations to fundamentally transforming the core medical supply chains. And this future transition is defined by the emerging concept of the bioeconomy.
For our audience of senior medical professionals, let's unpack bioeconomy within a healthcare context. What does this economic model practically entail?
The bioeconomy is an economic model that relies on leveraging renewable biological resources, things like plants, microbes, advanced biopolymers, organic waste, to create the materials, energy, and products we need.
And the goal is to replace our current system.
The goal is to replace our current system, which is fundamentally based on finite petrochemicals and disposable consumption. For healthcare, this means systematically replacing high-volume plastics and non-renewable inputs with circular bio-based alternatives.
Can you give us some key specific applications that clinicians and supply chain leaders need to be planning for right now?
Firstly, in pharmaceuticals, this entails a significant move toward green chemistry and bio-based production.
So instead of traditional chemical synthesis.
Exactly. Instead of relying on traditional energy-intensive and often waste-producing chemical synthesis, manufacturers are shifting towards bio-based production pathways, like controlled microbial fermentation, for developing complex drugs and novel treatments.
What's the benefit there?
It fundamentally reduces waste output, it lowers energy demand in the manufacturing process, and it minimizes the reliance on toxic solvents.
And what about the immense amount of single-use consumables we generate? I'm thinking of everything from syringes to catheter packaging.
That's the second major application: bio-based consumables. Single-use plastics constitute a staggering portion of hospital waste, particularly in high-volume settings. The bioeconomy offers the renewable feedstock necessary to replace these with biodegradable or compostable medical supplies,
Which are derived from.
often derived from renewable feedstocks like cellulose or specific bacterial polymers. Now, this requires significant upstream investment in biomanufacturing and, of course, regulatory certification, but it dramatically cuts down on expensive and environmentally damaging disposal costs downstream.
It's fascinating that even the most advanced futuristic areas of medicine seem to be intrinsically tied to this sustainability strategy. Tell us about the role of regenerative medicine in the bioeconomy.
Advanced techniques like 3D bioprinting and sophisticated tissue engineering are not only clinical breakthroughs, but they are inherently sustainability strategies.
Because of localization.
The critical benefit is localization, yes.
Explain that link for us, please. Why does localization aid sustainability?
Well, localizing the production of complex tissues, custom implants, and even organs means drastically reducing reliance on complex, fragile, and carbon-intensive global supply chains.
So you move production closer to the point of care.
You move it right to the point of care. It often reduces the need for international freight, specialized customs handling, refrigerated transport for critical components. The Acabadem Group, with its focus on integrating high-tech solutions like AI and its adoption of EV shuttles, is actively creating a high-tech platform that acts as a bridge to this future. It's a fusion of advanced technology and deeply embedded sustainability.
Ultimately, this systemic transition from a linear petrochemical dependency to a circular bio-based economy serves as a massive, overarching resilience strategy for the entire healthcare sector, doesn't it?
It is the ultimate resilience strategy. If we recall the severe lessons of the COVID-19 pandemic, one of the greatest vulnerabilities it exposed was the fragility and geopolitical dependence of global medical supply chains.
For everything from PPE to life-saving drugs.
Everything. So by making this strategic shift towards localized, bio-based, and regenerative systems, we future-proof our health systems against geopolitical friction, unexpected economic shocks, or climate-related disasters that disrupt global logistics. For a senior executive, sustainability is not just good practice. It means security, continuity of service, and profound risk reduction.
That has been an exceptionally detailed examination of a massive systemic shift. If you had one key overriding takeaway for a chief medical officer or a finance director listening to this deep dive, what strategic conclusion should they draw from all this?
The core conclusion is this. Sustainability is not a discretionary compromise. It's not a moral luxury to be addressed when convenient. The overwhelming evidence from global leaders like Narayana, Apollo, and Bumrungrad demonstrates that it's the most practical, economically intelligent, and systemically resilient approach for future-proofing global health systems.
And it's that integration of the pillars that's key.
Yes, by strategically integrating the planet, patient, and profit pillars, you intentionally create a powerful positive feedback loop. It's one where cost efficiency systematically funds social equity and where resilience actively drives reputation and market standing.
It sounds like the triple bottom line model is, in essence, the modern, comprehensive interpretation of that original promise, primum non nocere.
It is.
We are broadening the professional duty of care from the immediate health of the individual to the long-term well-being of the global community and the planet itself.
That is precisely the modern mandate. Sustainable practice ensures that the pursuit of clinical excellence and healing in one part of the world doesn't inadvertently cause structural or environmental harm elsewhere. It's a pledge to a transnational healthcare model that promotes genuine global well-being, moving us away from ethical and operational blind spots.
Which brings us back to that market signal we discussed earlier. Since sustainability is rapidly becoming the non-negotiable benchmark for safety, for quality, and for operational resilience, the final provocative thought I'll leave you with is this. Professionals should now view robust ESG reporting not merely as corporate compliance, but as the inevitable defining next standard of JCI-level quality accreditation.
That shift in strategic perspective is exactly what separates the leading future-proof health systems from those that will inevitably be left behind.
If this deep dive has provided valuable insight for your practice, your planning, or your capital investment decisions, please do take a moment to rate and share the show with your colleagues. Thank you for joining us for the deep dive.
Thank you.